Hello and welcome back to another video. So today I want to talk about the future of physical games because this is something I care about and is probably the most in question it has ever been. Because the first time the future of physical games ever really came into question was when Microsoft released the Xbox SAD. S1 all digital SAD. S all digital, yeah. In the previous generation of consoles. And it only became more in question when Sony started releasing digital only consoles. But even back then, we were all just like, oh, yeah, it kind of makes sense that they're releasing digital only consoles, but Nintendo's always like, a good few years behind current trends, and they really like to stick to traditional forms of media, like going back to the Nintendo 64. This is why they chose cartridges over discs, because it's like, discs are just a fad. You have to wait for games to load. Who wants to wait for games to load when you can play on a cartridge? And yes, cartridges are more expensive and they can't hold as much data, but they load the games instantly. Like, yeah, Nintendo have made some bad calls in the past and have generally sometimes been behind the times with this kind of thing. But even Nintendo, with the release of the Switch 2, have introduced game key cards, and this is basically just like a physical copy of a digital game. Is the easiest way I can describe it. You have a physical cartridge, but it's simply a key to download and play the game. You put it into your system, you download the game, and you can take it out and you can sell it to somebody, and then they can use it, but you won't be able to play that game without that cartridge in your system, but all of it's still downloaded on your Switch. So it's kind of the closest thing to like an in-between anyone's ever done. And game developers have come out and said that that some games simply wouldn't be able to run, or at least not as well, if they put it on a physical cartridge. And this is kind of something we kind of already knew, but never, we kind of knew this already, but we never really put two and two together. Like, when Mario Kart World released with the Switch 2, I can't remember who it was, but somebody did a comparison video of, like, comparing it to, like, Mario Kart World on cartridge, Mario Kart World downloaded to the built-in system memory, storage, and comparing it to the micro SD, and Mario Kart World on the cartridge was the slowest to load. Like, it wasn't like massively slow. I don't think. I think it was just like a little bit slower. So we kind of already knew that cartridges couldn't transmit data as fast as possible, but we just didn't really consider what this truly meant for games, because now both like Capcom and Ubisoft have come out and basically said, we wouldn't be able to put this game on cartridge because the cartridge can't transmit as much data as we need, and that would cause the game's performance to not be as good. So that's why we didn't put it on cartridge. And that is understandable, but that does not bode well for the future of physical games, of the physical game medium, and it's somewhat concerning, because before that I was kind of just thinking, physical games, they might not be, they're losing their popularity, especially with like their Switch. Like the cartridges are small, they're easy to lose. So yeah, again, it digitally just means that you won't have to fork out money to buy the game again if you lose, in case you lose a cartridge. But it's just like, but then but you still have people who want physical game, and then you also have the fact that physical it costs that you have to pay for the not only the price of the cartridge, but you also have to the retailers take a cut. And talking about retailers, if like Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft went all digital or with their systems, then what benefit would retailers have in stocking them? Because retailers don't make that a lot of money off the base system, just selling the system. Where they make money is like selling games and accessories and stuff. So it's just like, so if it's an all digital console, then a huge chunk of of their money is just gone. They can't sell physical games, which makes video game retailers' future that also puts that in doubt. So it's just like, yeah. So what's going on with this? And I think the future of physical games is that for the average Joe, Joe, working a 9 to 5, probably just buys Madden or Call of Duty on their Xbox or whatever. I think they're just going to start, the average person is just going to start buying it digitally, especially as like the older generations stop playing video games for whatever reason, and the newer gamers become a larger chunk of the pie, because the newer gamers aren't as tied down to physical games, and they can navigate the online stores easier than some of the older generations can. That's I don't wanna. That's not me like being ageist. Like, oh, all old people, they can't handle the technology. It's like, yeah, some old people. Yeah, it's just more so down to, in my opinion, that they are that they're more attached to physical media. But what I do think will happen, that I still think physical games will still be around, but I expect. Oh, and something else I forgot to mention is that with the upgradable storage becoming more and more of a thing, for consoles like the Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5, both have like expandable storage slots that you can get, like just storage and then connect it in, and also with like for the Switch 2, micro SD cards that getting better and cheaper is also going to help out with that. But yeah, but what I do think will happen to physical games is that they're going to be kind of only really sold as in like collector's editions. So it's like, oh, get this collector's edition. You get to a physical copy of the game with all the game on the cartridge. You get some collectibles, some figures, so just that kind of stuff. And then and then the people who want to buy physical games will still have a way to buy them, but it's but the price of it also means like the price of the the cost of actually making the physical game is kind of negated, because they just throw in a bunch of like collectible stuff in there, which allows them to charge more, which which they have a higher profit margin on. So it does make it it'll make it easier for companies to make a profit on the on the physical games, and it also means that the people who want the game on the cartridge will get the game on the cartridge. And with some games on the Switch 2 that will run worse on a physical cartridge, will probably have a disclaimer, just like, disclaimer, due to physical limitations of the cartridge, this copy of the game may not run as well as if you bought it digitally. They probably just have to add a little disclaimer, either when you order it, and maybe like a disclaimer on the box or something. I don't know, but they obviously have to have a disclaimer somewhere. But I think some people who really like having their games physically, I think some of them would be happy sacrificing some performance for it all on the cartridge. Now, games that absolutely cannot just cannot go on cartridge, that would be unplayable if it was all on cartridge, or if there's the file sizes or whatever. Then it's just like, yeah, there's nothing we really can do for that, because it's just like, yeah, I mean, hopefully, it would surprise. I would be more surprised if Nintendo or the company that they supply their cartridges from aren't doing research on improving the cartridge technology. But then again, that is very speculative. Like, again, they are almost definitely researching ways to improve the cartridge technology. But again, how likely how much better that cartridge will be, or how much cheaper, or how that's all just entirely speculative. So I don't really think it's worth going over here. But obviously, like, if they discover a new miracle technology that allows the cartridges to transmit data 50 times faster, or whatever, then yeah, sure. Then there's no real reason for it's 100 times cheaper or whatever. There's no real reason to use game key cards over that. But yeah, but that's really just how I see things going for physical media. It's just, it becomes more of a luxury than an actual standard product. And yeah, and like, for me right now, my current opinion on this is, if it's physical, if coming out on Switch 2, or whatever, if it's physical, I'm gonna pick it up physically. If it's a game key card, I'm gonna get it digitally. If it's digital, only then, I don't really have a choice, do I? But yeah, I do like my physical games, and I do want them to stay around as long as possible. And I am one of the people who it's just like, oh, I have to pay a bit more to get it physically, but I also get some collectibles and stuff. Yeah, that's a fair trade-off, in my opinion. And like, depending on the game, I also wouldn't mind taking a bit of a performance hit for it to be on cartridge, because it's like, yeah, as long as it's playable, like, as long as I can get as long as like a solid 30 FPS minimum, with like maybe an occasional hiccup here and there, then yeah, sure, I'm willing to take a bit of it where normally it would be like 60 FPS or something. Yeah, sure, I'm willing to take that hit, because it's still 30 FPS is still playable. I mean, it's not ideal, but it's still playable. But yeah, or maybe I don't know. Again, maybe one other thing that I think they might be able to do, but I'm not quite sure how good of a compromise this would be, is make it so that you have like 90% of the game on the cartridge, but you have to like download like the 10% that absolutely needs to be on the system, otherwise it to save the performance. I don't know how much of a how good of a compromise that would be, because it's like, oh yeah, you have 90% of gamers. It's like, but then does that mean if like the game servers go down and you can't download that 10%, does that mean that cartridge is now useless? Right, it's just kind of that kind of thing. Like maybe have it all on cartridge, but then make it so you download that part if possible. So if you're like connected to the internet, you can if you can connect to the servers, you download that part. You can choose to download that part straight to the system to improve performance, but you can also choose to not download it but then take a performance hit. But then it would still be playable. Maybe that might be an idea. But yeah, let me know what you think down in the comment section below. How do you see the future of physical media? Do you agree with me that it's going to become basically a more luxury kind of thing where you really only get in collector's editions of games, or do you think that digital only media is a fad and that people and like game developers and stuff will go back to selling their stuff physically? Or what, let me know down in the comment section below. I'm interested. I always like to hear what other people think, and obviously you always remember to be respectful and in the comment section below. Don't want any like nasty people in there. And I do read all the comments because I'm only a small YouTuber. So if you're being nasty, I'm just going to delete your comment. And obviously, if you did enjoy this video, please check out my other videos. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.